that's what surprised me. I don't know if you read the book. I wasn't a medical.
Now tell us your story.
Well, I mean, I was went to the Air Force Academy. I served my time, and then I went and joined Bell Labs as a computer scientist. When I found out about this through a back door because of a bet with my mother about vitamin C, I thought she was nuts. But she got rheumatoid arthritis when she was in her 40s, and she found the first Pauling book and talked me into reading it, and I started taking it. And as I point out in the book, most of the ills that I was suffering up to that point completely disappeared. So here I'm thinking, there's this simple way to basically eliminate a need for a doctor, and I was just amazed that medicine was ignoring this.
Are all these scurvy related?
Turns out that, in my opinion, if you look at what the diseases that animals who do not produce vitamin C get, and there's a long list for the guinea pig and for primates and us, and then you look at what the diseases that animals that make their vitamin C, it's a much smaller list. And so I associate that group are all symptoms of this chronic vitamin C deficiency that we all suffer.
We could then diversify the scurvy diagnosis dramatically, basically.
Yes, there's a lot of other things that come cleared up, and so that would be the standard therapy. You take vitamin C until the issue with this vitamin C is sort of like when you're in a desert situation, your body holds on to water, and it's the same thing's going on. All human beings now treat whatever little vitamin C they take as precious, and there's all sorts of mechanisms that save it. Vitamin E turns out to be very important to preserve vitamin C and so forth. However, when you start taking the amounts that Pauling recommended, there's a theory called dynamic flow, which explains all the data that basically vitamin C has it's a very short half-life, 30 minutes, and we should be basically, if we were producing it, we'd be in the ideal situation throughout the day. Nobody can do that. It's not convenient, but the optimum blood level we now know is by taking at least 500 milligrams every 4 hours. So if I was doing something therapeutic, that's where I'd start.
All right.
So I know I throw a lot of information at you. So
no, you didn't. This is all reachable. It's very understandable. Probably most over-the-counter vitamins are made in China or other countries. What can we depend on the dosage and the quality of these things?
Yeah, I mean, we specifically, ours is made by
here
DSM, formerly Roche. It's not Chinese. I don't think there's a problem personally right now. It makes me nervous, but I don't think there's a problem because they have the same economic pressures that anybody has. If they were found out to be
well, they have been found out, for goodness sakes,
for so many other things.
The tainted Chinese products.
I haven't found it and heard about it in the sea yet. I know there's ISO plants, but again, if you want a non-Chinese C, go to the Vitamin C Foundation. Ours is made in Europe.
Okay, how much it costs for a month? Or what's the regimen?
Well, to go on this monthly shipment, I think the Cardio C is around $24 a jar.
So $24 a month, you can auto ship it, I'd assume. And
that's right.
And then you're there.
Well, then you're in a good situation.
And so not only for heart disease. You mentioned arthritis in your mom?
Rheumatoid arthritis is what she was diagnosed with, and she was able to halt it after reading the Pauling book. She also had a cortisone shot, but basically by taking high vitamin C.
She reversed it?
Pardon me?
Reverse it?
Yes, well, it halted it. I don't know if it...
There's a lot of damage there. It's tough to reverse, but...
Yeah.
Okay.
But she's still, that was in her 40s. She's now in her mid-80s. And
still riding her Harley and stuff?
Yeah, still going strong.
That's good.
She was the one, again, who's been a high vitamin C taker. And that's one of the things we pointed out. The people that we know in our family, whatever, that have been taking it have been doing very well. And the people that don't...
not doing so well.
They're not doing so well. So in our family, at least, it turns out to be a very important thing. A lot of people cannot tolerate the same amounts that we can tolerate. Now, there's some other options out there for them. They've come out with a new product called liposomal vitamin C that almost doesn't seem like it can be possible because there's no gas or diarrhea. It's 100%. They've used a drug encapsulation technology called liposomes, and still, it's an expensive product, but for people that have gas and diarrhea and want the benefits of vitamin C, they ought to look into a product like that.
So 6 500 milligram doses a day is what you want optimally around the clock, every 4 hours, every 5 hours.
Yeah, I mean,
something like that.
I started after I read Pauling, and I took 2 doses daily, 9,000 each, and that was fine for me. I didn't get any gas and diarrhea. I could take 9 grams at a time.
Wow.
After reading some of the work by Dr. Hickey and Roberts, it turns out that it's just, it's more optimal. You'll have a better usage of it by taking smaller amounts more frequently, but that's not as convenient. So it's kind of up to the people. But I think what Pauling said is what I would heed, and that is don't miss a single day of taking your vitamin C. And you can talk to Carol Smith about that. You can ask other people about that.
Mm-hmm.
Follow his advice. And it's probably a great advice for vitamin E also. I know the World Health Organization looked at cholesterol and high blood pressure and low vitamin E, and low vitamin E was like a 70% better predictor of heart attack than either high cholesterol or high blood pressure.
Oh.
So you do not want to, and again, it's intertwined with vitamin C.
What causes heart attacks? Is it always occluded arteries that people just aren't aware of, or are there other main triggers of heart attacks?
I know there are heart spasms, and I've heard a number of about 30% have to do with sort of an irregular heartbeat that causes it.
But it's the arrhythmia, okay, but it's primarily simply clogged plumbing.
It's primarily a blocked plumbing, and from reading Levy's book, it turns out that these very involved plaques, almost like calluses, develop their own capillary system. And the problem is capillaries, like veins, are not very strong tissue, and so the capillaries can rupture and cause the whole clotting process to evolve, and that can cause the heart attack. So,
Say that again.
Let's think about the arteries and the blockage that develops. It's
the
almost
plaque.
like a callus. Yeah, it's almost like a tumor.
It's a thickening of tissue, which actually is vascular.
That's right. And so to avoid the necrosis, the cells dying, it develops its own little capillary system.
How amazing.
And the problem is capillaries are like veins. They're thin tissue.
Well, they can burst under pressure,
and they can burst. And so here's what you have. That's why they call these unstable plaques can be very dangerous. It's why they give these drugs that would otherwise, harden your artery like a rock, these rat poison style drugs. But they're doing it because they don't
want the plaques to rupture.
Right. And so in my opinion, if you've gone that far, it usually probably takes many, many years of low vitamin C for that to happen, then, sometimes a bypass is going to be the thing that makes a lot of sense. But if you can avoid it, by doing this, I would certainly try this first. And
this ought to be standard with every single heart patient.
Well, the way to do this is for the cardiologists to become educated. And I wish, I don't know if there are any listening, but I would like them to read the book. I mean, I think that would be an education.
Well, and I'm sure you're more than happy to talk to them too.
Absolutely, I've talked to mostly of the alternative persuasion, but I've talked to hundreds and hundreds over the years. And of course, this book is a compilation of a lot of the articles that were published in the Townsend Letter, which is a journal for alternative medicine.
I know the Townsend Letter. Are they still putting that out?
They are still putting it out, and I learn something new every issue.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I had the same experience years ago. All right.
But I would hope. I mean, I think the reason I wrote the book is not to be insulting to them. We have that one story in there where they found out about this from somebody they trusted, this pharmacist who gives lectures on advanced drugs, and they stood up this whole hall room. They stood up livid. And they weren't mad at the guy giving them the lecture about this. They were mad at the editors of the medical journals for not telling them about this. And that's really where the thing starts, whatever control there is on the medical journals, and I guess you can look at the advertisements in there to figure out where that is. But you don't get this information to the cardiologist in a manner they can trust. They're not taught about it at school, and they don't hear about it in their journals. And so if it wasn't for Linus Pauling, I wouldn't know a thing about this. There's too much information out there.
Well, you're carrying on truly heroic work by Dr. Pauling, and this is crucial. Where would we be without you? I mean, think about it.
Well, I appreciate that, but it's all Pauling. It's not Owen Fonorow. If Owen Fonorow said this, I would, everybody should just turn it off and go away.
It doesn't matter. You're doing it.
But the fact that Linus Pauling said this is absolutely right. It should at least be reported. If he were wrong, then everybody could find out in 10 days, okay, he was a nut, and go on. But they don't. Not a word of this has gotten out in the media, and we have tried.
Well, you're making a nice first step here, and we really appreciate it. Oh, sure. All right, Owen. Well, what I'd like to do is, if you can, come back maybe in a month or 6 weeks with a couple of folks who have done this and had results, and let's get Carol Smith.
I think that's a great idea. I'd love to have Carol Smith on.
All right, well, let's do that.
Okay.
Thank you for being here.
And thank you very much. I appreciate it very much.
My pleasure. Okay, Owen. Good night.
Good night.
The book is Practicing Medicine Without a License, the story of the Linus Pauling therapy for heart disease. Owen Fonorow, author with Sally Snyder Jewell as well. This is another huge story. Huge. VitaminCFoundation.org.